The mic? Okay, are we on now? Welcome, welcome everyone. Bienvenidos a El Sereno. Thank you for joining us today. We welcome you to Barrio Action Youth and Family Center and of course to our beautiful community of El Sereno. We are so happy to have this event here, not only at our center, but also in the community of El Sereno. We want to thank Governor Newsom and his really wonderful team for choosing us here. So we are just over the moon that we're here with everyone that are the dignitaries that are going to join us in a little bit. But one of the things that I wanted to make sure that everyone knows is that El Sereno is a beautiful community. We have done a whole lot of work. We as a center have stayed open during the pandemic throughout the 2020. And had it been not for all the assistance that we received through the city, the county, the state, we would not be here offering services to our families. So we're really happy that that was able to happen for us and that we are able to continue servicing everyone, not only in this community, but in every single community here in the city. For us, our services are through the Family Source Centers, and there's 16 of us, so take advantage of being able to go to any of those Family Source Centers. I know that there's folks here from some of the other Family Source Centers, so thank you for being here. We will continue to do what we do best, and that's be able to help the families with rental assistance, utilities, and and basic food needs. So thank you to everyone for being here. Thank you to everyone who's going to come out and talk about everything that is going on in this great city, county, and most of all, state of California. Thank you, everyone, and welcome. Bienvenidos a todos.
Good afternoon, everyone. Buenos dias. I'm Ron Herrera, and I'm the president of the Los Angeles County Federation of Labor. We are 300 affiliates with 800,000 union workers in LA County. And some of my brothers and sisters are here today, and I just want to say hello to them all. To Barrio Action Youth and Family Center, thank you for hosting us here today. It's great to be here with you all to celebrate such a monumental achievement for working families and our community. But it takes a special person, a special leader, a warrior, a champion, a guerrero, a fighter, in order to achieve this. And this is our governor, Brother Gavin Newsom. And I'm proud to say that Los Angeles County will anchor the no on the recall. We will be the biggest vote in the entire state. And I want to personally thank Governor Newsom for all he does for working families, for workers, both documented and undocumented. Look, the Los Angeles labor movement has been essential in helping people in our county. With food, over 600,000 people fed out of the Los Angeles County Federation. Testing, vaccines. But how do we do that? We do it through a governor like we have. We do it through a governor that understands working people. We do it through a governor that understands the need for people that don't have, the vulnerable, the undocumented, the people that are homeless. So it's very, very important to understand. Now that our state roars back to a path of recovery, it's encouraging to see a budget that prioritizes workers and helps put food on their tables, clothes on their back, and a roof over their heads. And I want to close by personally thanking my governor, our governor, the governor of the state of California, my brother, Gavin Newsom. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. How are we feeling today? I want to know if El Sereno is in the house. You got to hear that one more time. Is El Sereno in the house? It's a pleasure to be here with each and every one of you. My name is Kevin De Leon. I'm the City Council member of CD14. And I want to thank Tammy Membrano. Thank you very much to all the good folks at Barrio Action for hosting us here today. Now, very quickly, because we have a list of amazing folks going to come up and share a few words with each and every one of you before our great governor comes up and addresses all of us here today. But over the last year, every human being around the globe has faced a nonstop threat by something we can't even see. It had been more than a century since the world faced this kind of public health threat. And make no mistake, COVID-19 brought the world's economy to its knees. Through these very tough months, California took decisive action to protect the public and ultimately rolled out one of the most complex vaccination programs in our nation's history. The fact that we're able to gather here today in a 90032 right off Huntington Drive, here today is a testament to the leadership of our governor, Gavin Newsom. Let's get up for Governor Gavin Newsom. Now, as you all know, our governor has faced immense attacks as well as pressure along the way. But those actions have undoubtedly saved hundreds of thousands of Californians. Now, through the California Comeback Plan, he will invest over $12 billion. Now, not 12 million or 120 million, but $12 billion in direct benefits to 2 out of 3 Californians, and another $5.2 billion in rent relief to struggling Angelenos and Californians who remain housed today. And trust me, Mr. Governor, we need that money so very badly. Mr. Governor, on behalf, yes, let's give it up. Mr. Governor, on behalf of the many people throughout the communities and neighborhoods of CD14 and beyond, let me express my deep felt thanks and gratitude for your leadership. Let me say thank you for all that you've done to guide and lead California during these very unprecedented times. Now, we know there's much more work to do, but California is definitely on the right track. Thank you very much, Mr. Governor. Últimamente voy a compartir algunas palabras bien breves en español para toda nuestra gente de habla español. ¿Presentes, sí o no? Sí. Así es, mi querida gente. Ya saben, ¿no? Durante el último año, todos los seres humanos del mundo se han enfrentado a una amenaza constante de algo que ni siquiera podemos ver. Ha pasado más de un siglo desde el mundo enfrentó este tipo de amenaza para la salud pública. Y que quede muy claro, y quiero enfatizar y subrayar lo siguiente, que por favor no se equivoquen para nada. El coronavirus puso a rodillas a la economía mundial. Durante estos meses dificultosos y difíciles, California tomó medidas decisivas para proteger al público y finalmente implementó uno de los programas de vacunación más complejos de la nación. El hecho de que podamos reunirnos hoy día aquí es un testimonio, un hecho concreto y fijo del liderazgo de nuestro gobernador Gavin Newsom, quien enfrentó inmensos ataques y críticas en el camino, pero sus acciones sin duda han salvado cientos de miles de personas californianos, particularmente personas de las zonas más humildes a lo largo y ancho del gran estado de California. Ahora, a través de su plan de estímulo económico de California, nuestro gobernador va a invertir más de $12,000 millones en beneficios de ayuda financiera directa para 2 de cada 3 residentes de California. Y quiero muy claro, también más de $5.2 mil millones en ayuda, alivio de renta para los inquilinos, aquellos que están luchando en contra del desalojo, la amenaza del desalojo. Ya sabes, ¿no? Mucha de nuestra gente trabajadora, gente latina, gente inmigrante, gente indocumentada, gente que llegó a este país con el sudor de su frente, no pidiendo limosna, sino trabajando desde la madrugada hasta el anochecer. Por eso estoy presente para agradecer a nuestro gobernador Gavin Newsom por su liderazgo, nuestro gobernador Gavin Newsom por un hombre en las trincheras, haciendo todo lo posible para mejorar la condición humana de toda nuestra gente latina migrante aquí en el Senado. Muchas gracias a todos. Gracias a todos. Para mí me honra mi amigo, mi colega, un gran campeón para nuestra gente en Washington, D.C., a big champion who represents us every single day, is the sharp tip of the spear for us, representing our interests in Washington, D.C. Let's get up for our friend, our Congressman, Jimmy Gomez. Jimmy Gomez.
Good afternoon. First, let me thank Governor Newsom for having me here today. This pandemic has been unprecedented in so many respects, and the depth and the breadth was so big that it was impossible for one level of government to handle it on its own. But earlier this year, my congressional colleagues and I passed a once-in-a-generation relief package in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. $1.9 trillion to help every corner of the country and every individual who is suffering. Today, billions of dollars from the American Rescue Plan are uplifting California and our constituents, from helping local small business owners reopen their stores to helping students, children, and working families, from keeping our neighbors housed and tackling homelessness to ensuring we have the tools necessary to fight this pandemic. The American Rescue Plan is working. And later this week, we'll be unrolling the biggest anti-poverty investment in our lifetimes, which will start with monthly child tax credit payments going out to millions of parents across this state. A family of 4 will receive either $1,000 to $1,200 a month. And that will make sure that the people who are struggling to make ends meet have the support they need. But the federal government can't do it alone. We must have partners at the state level and at the local level. And we have a great partner in Governor Gavin Newsom. California has made the difficult decisions to put away funds to have a large surplus, to cut back on our spending in the beginning of the pandemic, to take a cautious approach. But that cautious approach has paid dividends. Now they're going to be revealing and signing the Golden State stimulus checks, an additional $600 per individual who are struggling during this pandemic. Small business relief, and of course, rental relief that will make sure that no one else ends up on the streets. But we can only continue to uplift individuals is if we keep the idea of equity at the forefront. the idea that the people who were disproportionately impacted by the pandemic, those that were infected and died at higher rates, those who had small businesses closing at greater amounts, that we focus the resources targeting those individuals to make sure that they don't fall through the social safety net that was ripped to shreds because of this pandemic. And this budget that the governor will sign will do just that. But in the end, there are also people on the front lines that do the work. These are people who go into the homes and take care of loved ones who are sick and struggling, that need that extra care. The home health care workers, people like my mother who worked as a caregiver for so many years. So now I want to invite the leader of one of the largest unions of caregivers in the country. Let's give it up for April Verrett of SEIU 2015.
Thank you so much, Congressman Gomez. Give it up for Congressman Gomez. It is so great to be here in El Sereno. I'm working on my accent, y'all. Don't kill me for it. I am April Verrett, and I have the luxury and the blessing every day to wake up as the leader of SEIU Local 2015. Yeah! Representing over 400,000 long-term care workers, nursing home workers, and home care workers all across the state of California. And a few of them are here with us today. I also want to recognize my larger SEIU family. I see SEIU USWW is in the house, as well as all of our brothers and sisters in labor. We just left a rally where over 1,000 caregivers rallied with our consumers and our allies. And we had a few messages we were sending to our electeds in Washington, D.C., and in Sacramento, and right here in Los Angeles County. But we also today wanted to celebrate. We celebrated the fact that essential workers, like home care workers and janitors and security guards and hotel workers and fast food workers and grocery store workers and our tradesmen and laborers made it through this pandemic. We literally looked death in the face as we put on our masks and continue to do the work that we are called to do each and every day. We made it, y'all. We looked death in the face, we stared COVID down, and we are still here. We are still standing. And Secretary Galley, we are still fighting. We are not gonna take our foot off the gas until we break the back of this pandemic once and for all. We will continue to wear our masks. We will continue to wash our hands. We will continue to socially distance. We will continue to do the things that we know works because we are a community that stands united. We will protect ourselves, we will protect each other, and we will make it through this pandemic. But today we celebrate, and we celebrate our governor for making sure we had the resources we needed as essential workers. And with the budget we stand here to sign today, we are continuing to make sure those of us that have been affected the most have a little bit more of what we need. With the economic stimulus that will go into the pockets of working families all across California. With the loans and the resources for small businesses so we can make sure our communities get back on our feet. It is time for us to not look backwards. It's time for us to look forward. It's time for us to create, with the leadership of our governor, a true California for all, sisters and brothers. One where each of us has a fighting chance to live out the California dream. No matter of what you look like, no matter what language you speak, no matter what zip code you live in, we will create a California for all, and we thank our governor for his tenacious leadership. We also want to thank the mayor of our great city of Los Angeles, Eric Garcetti. He did not leave us behind, and though they are trying to take him away from us, we will let him go with well wishes and with blessings, knowing he did the very best for Los Angeles and for California. And I want to welcome to the stage Mayor Eric Garcetti.
Let's give it up for April Barrett. Come on, make some noise. A champion for justice. I want to ask a question that Councilmember Kevin DeLeon said. Is Barrio Action in the house? Is El Sereno in the house? Is Los Angeles in the house? Is California in the house? Is labor in the house? Is the California comeback in the house? Look, there is no way to sugarcoat this past year. It was the most painful, most traumatic year of our lives. If you lost a coworker or a family member, raise your hand. If you know somebody who lost a job, raise your hand. Somebody whose hours were cut, raise your hand. Somebody who gave up hope, raise your hand. Folks who thought there would be no end to this, raise your hand. Well, all of you are here today as testament to the power of our city and of our state, a city of angels and a golden state. And I've always said leadership is not defined by those moments where we set out to do the things we say we're going to do and people judge, did we do them well? Leadership comes from those moments when the worst thing we didn't expect to happen happens, and how well we react. By that measure, you are all leaders who stepped up in the business and labor communities, in neighborhoods, in families, to say we'll mask up and we'll give $5 to help somebody who's worse off. And leaders at the local level and the state level. Two leaders here, Mark Gali, Dee Dee Myers, who led our health and our business affairs at the state. Folks in Washington like Jimmy Gomez, local leaders like Kevin DeLeon, Tammy Membrano, and Barrio Action, which is the place you go when you need help. These are leaders who said, we refuse to quit. We refuse to surrender. We refuse to give up and to make this moment about what we've lost. We will make this moment about what we will gain. And so today we come here to somberly, but also enthusiastically celebrate leadership in this room. And every war that you go through needs a field marshal out there to lead that. Yo quiero decir también en español, este momento ha sido un momento crítico, no solamente en la ciudad de Los Ángeles, pero por el estado de California, el estado de oro. Porque durante esta pandemia, el sufrimiento, esta crisis, esta tragedia, fue una tragedia de todos nosotros. Pero un líder aquí, nuestro gobernador, tiene el liderazgo a inspirar la gente de California, la gente de Los Ángeles, para dar sus corazones, sus almas a esta lucha. We've gone through the numbers. You've heard the 12 million for homelessness. I've seen this man under a Los Angeles freeway cleaning it up because he's cleaning up California. He's housing California, and he's standing it back up. And I learned one thing from Gavin Newsom, my governor. Never bet against California. Never bet against the Golden State. Never bet against our people. No matter what language you speak, no matter where you come from, no matter how much money you earn or your toughest moment, California is a state of belonging. And it's made so by a person who believes every Californian matters. Every Californian belongs here. The immigrants, the folks who can trace themselves back to the native residents, folks who've been smart enough to move here from another state, and those of us lucky enough to have been born here. So in signing this budget today, we don't just sign a piece of paper. We lay out the values of a state led by the values of a leader, who we stand behind here in Los Angeles, We stand behind at moments of crisis, and we stand behind in moments of celebration. And I'll end with this. I've talked to this man when all the cameras are off, when nobody's there listening. I've heard him in the toughest moments of this past year make the most difficult decisions of his life. But I also know they were the easiest decisions he's ever made. Because when it comes to protecting even one life, that's not a tough call. When it means bringing people together to say what we're for rather than what we're against, in this moment when people seek to divide us, this is a man who has united us and who is bringing this state back. That California comeback is here, and our governor is here. So please welcome our governor, Gavin Newsom.
Thank you to your mayor, Eric Garcetti. Thank you all very much for coming out. This is one hell of a budget signing. Where'd you all come from? Thank you, all of you, for being here. And Tammy, thank you for organizing all of us. And thank you for all the generous words that were spoken by each and every remarkable speaker. I couldn't be more humbled and couldn't be more proud to not only have them here today, but to call them friends. I know in politics, you usually roll your eyes when elected officials talk in those terms, but each and every one of these individuals has been there every step of the way, and I'm incredibly humbled and gratified that they are here today. And so I want to just, underscore that gratitude, and I will try to weave in more specific representation of why this budget is a representation of their values, not just the values emanating out of Sacramento. But I want to begin by picking up on what the mayor just said. For those that have counted California out, eat your heart out. This state has not come back. There's a reason we have signs that say this state has come roaring back. We have no peers. The state of California has no peers. Not only are we the most diverse state in the world's most diverse democracy, but we are a state that's outperforming in every key indicator. No state in America is creating more jobs than the state of California. No state in America has a faster growing GDP than the state of California. No state in America is growing factory jobs, manufacturing jobs like the state of California. No state in America has bigger investments in innovation, in green technology. No state runs on an engine as green and clean as it relates to clean energy itself than the state of California. This state has roared back. California is outperforming the rest of the nation in all of these categories. California is not only back, but California is once again asserting itself as the tentpole of the American economy. Once again, California is leading because our birthright is framed in the context that California is America's coming attraction. The future happens here first. And I'm very proud to say all of this because it really marks this historic moment, because I'm signing an historic budget. It's unprecedented, not only in California history, this budget's unprecedented in American history. Let me give you some proof points. We are running a surplus in the state of California that's the largest surplus that has ever been recorded in American history. We advertise it at a $76 billion surplus. We didn't include the additional $4 billion of additional cash that we've collected over the course of the last number of weeks. An $80+ billion operating surplus here in the state of California. That allows us to do things that we couldn't have imagined doing. I mean, 6 years ago, I couldn't have imagined doing them, let alone 6 months ago. Imagine being here in this position to make the kind of transformational investments that we are advancing here today. We not only are enjoying record surpluses and record reserves, not only paying down a record amount of pension obligation, but we're also providing the biggest tax rebate in American history, $12 billion to literally 3/4 of all tax filers. Many of you in this room, beneficiaries of the largest tax rebate in American history. Many of you will receive checks upwards of $1,100. Some of you with kids. And I'm really proud of this. And you heard Kevin say this, you heard the congressman and others reference this. But regardless of your immigration status, we have your back. Ron Herrera is right about that. They're all right about that. We're proud of that. All Californians. We don't believe in leaving people behind. And speaking of not leaving people behind, I know a lot of you are entrepreneurs, small business leaders. A lot of you put everything on the line. I saw how many hands went up when the mayor asked you about how your year has been. And I just want to thank each and every small business leader. Thank you for your tenacity, for your grit. Thank you for your perseverance. Thank you for not giving up, not only giving up on yourself, but your family, but even your dream. Because at the end of the day, you're the backbone of the economy in the state of California. And everything we're announcing here today is because of that tenacity. It's because of your resilience. So thank you to 40 million Californians for your resilience. Thank you to the small businessmen and women for your resilience in creating opportunity and dreams for tens of millions of others. And we have your back as well. We're providing the largest grant program for small businesses of any state in American history as well. Over $4.1 billion of grants, not loans, to small businesses that are included in this package. And I want folks to know we're thinking of you. This, Dee Dee Myers is here. This program was designed with you in mind. Not folks in Wall Street, but with you in mind. Because we recognize the real picture of entrepreneurialism is not the one you see in the Wall Street Journal Ed board. That picture is painted in this room. It's folks that look like all of you, women dominantly, minorities that are putting things out on the line. And we designed this program with you in mind because so often is the case that you are left behind in terms of these grant programs and these support programs. And so we are extraordinarily proud working with the legislature to design this program so the dollars get to those that need it the most and deserve it the most as well. We also are doing something that is historic. We are paying 100, I'll repeat this, and I haven't even stated it. But the reason I'm going to repeat it is because I really want you to hear this. People that have been directly impacted by this pandemic, any of you that have been directly impacted by this pandemic, we will pay 100% of your rent going back to April of last year. Like I said, I have to repeat that. Going back to April of last year and going forward through September 30th of this year. 100% of your rent. You got to take advantage of that. Folks don't believe it. And you say, well, that's great, but I got this water bill. People say, that's great, but I got this electric bill. We will pay 100% of those bills as well. There's an additional $2 billion in this package. We have your back. Because look, we recognize you can't come roaring back unless we have the backs of every Californian. Our North Star, Conway will be the first to remind me of this, our North Star is equity. It's not just about growth, it's also about inclusion. That we're all better off when we're all better off. And so I'm incredibly proud of the work the legislature did, legislative leaders, Tony Atkins, the Speaker, Speaker Rendon, and others that worked tirelessly, to Senator Skinner, to Assembly Member, Chair of the Budget, Phil Ting. Thank you for your faith and devotion to the cause that unites us, at least here today, but also unites 40 million Californians strong. We are investing these dollars wisely. We're investing them in targeted ways that will produce, we think, profound and transformational impacts. Immediate relief, $12 billion tax rebates, investing historic amounts of dollars into supporting our entrepreneurs and small business leaders, transforming public education, a historic investment of $93.7 billion into our K through 12 education system that just created a brand new grade. This budget creates a brand new grade, TK, for all 4-year-olds in the state of California. As a parent of 4, trust me, that's a big deal. In one budget, we did it. Universal. In just one budget. Universal summer school, universal after school. We've had governors, Democrats and Republicans for decades talking about universal after school. We fully fund it in this year's budget. Close to $5 billion will be invested in a few years for universal summer and after school programs. This is transformational. $3 billion in community schools to take down the silos between communities and community leaders and community-based organizations and independent school districts. We are doing things we only dreamt of, and we're getting them done this year. April, Vera, 200,000 new child care slots in this budget. That's also unprecedented in California's history. Thank you to April's leadership. I mean, this is exciting. And by the way, the biggest fear I have is that I'm going to lose these 5 extraordinary people that showed up in all of you, because I can go on and on and on. And I hope folks will take the time to take a look at this budget, because we have you in mind. We have each and every one of you in mind, because we are mindful, as was stated by every speaker, of what you've been through over the last 15 months. We're mindful of the stress, the anxiety, the fear that each and every one of you have had to work through over the course of the last number of months. We are mindful that we asked you to stay at home, and some of you may not even had a home last year. And that's why we put $12 billion in this budget to support the work Mayor Garcetti and Kevin DeLeon and others. Historic, transformational investment into homelessness, unprecedented in California's history. $12 billion to tackle this issue head on in a transformational way. By the way, the biggest investment in mental health since 1967 in that infamous first budget where Ronald Reagan began the process of dismantling the behavioral health system. $2.2 billion just in mental health housing, and $5 billion for mental health screening and treatment for literally every child 0 to 25. Every child, $5 billion in this year's budget. Honestly, I'm not exaggerating when I say I could spend another couple hours on this. But I want to make just 2 final points. I said we asked you to stay at home, and many folks struggled with that, particularly those of you that didn't know if you can afford that rent check or your mortgage or even had a home to go to. We also asked you to help educate your kids, and we asked you to do what you could to get them on those same devices that you were teaching them not to spend their days on. Many of you struggle with that for no other reason than A, you didn't have a device, or even if you did, you couldn't afford the connections. One of the most significant things we have done in this budget this year is a $6 billion broadband investment, the largest broadband, universal broadband investment in this state's history. I don't want to hear about the digital divide anymore. We want to solve it once and for all. So there's so many wonderful things, but the most amazing thing was the cooperation, that spirit that brought the legislature together and all of us as a state. And so once again, I'll just end as I began, with deep gratitude and humility to the challenges that we still face. So many pre-existing conditions around affordability, so many pre-existing conditions as it relates to the issues of poverty in all its forms and manifestation. I'm mindful of those areas where we continue to struggle. I'm mindful about this drought, $5.1 billion investment. I'm mindful about wildfire prevention, $2.2 billion investment. I'm mindful about the stresses and challenges that we face as a state. But I'm absolutely confident and enlivened by what this blueprint, what this comeback plan here in the state of California offers 40 million Californians strong into the future. And so with no further ado, I'd like to ask Tammy and Ron and Kevin and our great leaders from Washington, D.C., and April, the mayor, is already up here, to come on up to the stage, and let's sign this damn budget and move on. All right. Ron, where are you? Balance this out. Thank you, Tammy. You guys ready? All right, this one's a good one. This seems thick. By the way, I read every single word in this. I feel like I actually did the last 6 months. All right, well, let's sign. A lefty. So that's one. This is two. So this is a $12 billion package of direct tax reliefs to 3/4 of taxpayers in the state of California. This represents not just $4.1 billion of grants and direct relief to small businesses, but quite literally hundreds of millions of additional supports for economic development in the state of California. And here's the big one. There are 263 billion reasons why this one matters. This is the budget here in the state of California 2020-2021. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to be here, and thank you again to this remarkable group of people that are here assembled, and thank you to each and every one of you for being here. Thank you all very, very much. Thank you, guys.